All right, welcome guys. This is the Legacy Room. We're back at it again. We got my boy,
Jaden.
And Johnny.
and we got a special guest that Johnny's going to introduce.
So, this guy right here, I did a mentorship with a couple. It was like last year, right?
Yeah.
Last year, he did
A little bit.
help
And
elevate
it's
my
almost
business.
2 years now, man.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he met me at a time where I was very stressful and very um in a stagnant place, and my friend over here, Bud Evans, really helped me grow from where I was at. Um, I don't want to say too much about your story because obviously, you know, that's your thing. But yeah, what do you? This is my friend Bud Evans. Say a little bit about yourself and like what's your background and stuff.
Yeah, man. So I am a retired Air Force major. I did 35 years in the military. From 1993 to 2005, I was a police officer in Radnor Township. From 2016 through 2018, I was the mayor of Cinnaminson Township. 2019, got heavily involved in real estate after I joined a mentorship program in 2018. And then yeah, man, I was able to retire at 51 years old and do whatever I want, when I want, with who I want, where I want, you know,
How you want?
through real estate.
Oh, we love that. We love that. In your background, you told us about the military. How did the military set a foundation for you, for you to go and do whatever you want now?
Yeah, it's the the goal with any business that wants to succeed is having processes that you can iron out and make them ironclad. So the more standard operating procedures and processes, procedures, and checklists that you can get people to follow, the better off you're going to be, and the easier it is for you to be able to scale your business. So in my case, going through, I did it. I did 19 years enlisted, and honestly, man, like most people would retire at 20,
Mm.
and then I got commissioned and did another 15. So I went from the learning phase to the developing projects and processes phase to running people who ran the processes and developed the processes, all the way up to basically having 60 people underneath of me. It was basically the sole reason that I am finding success today was simply because of the way.
Nice, nice, nice.
There's a book too that I remember around the time that I met you that I read, and then you just confirmed that, which was Built to Sell. I forgot the author, but it's like a really small book.
Mhm.
But that's literally what it talks about. It's a guy that wanted to sell his business, his advertising business, and the way he did that was like this is all hypothetical story that the author said, but he brought a mentor that was used to selling businesses,
Yeah.
and literally what he said was, and this is what you told me too, especially like if I wanted a franchise and stuff
Mhm.
like that, was to have systems and procedures, everything, like have a system for everything and to its smallest details, so that when you do want to sell it, or if you do want to copy and paste it, it's just a matter of just it's something as simple as I remember you told me to like see the simplest things, like this is how we fold towels at Q-Tall Barbershop.
Mhm.
This is how we close at the Q-Tall Barbershop. After that, I remember making a whole system with that. So now every barber that comes in, I have like a list. Either I have one on my phone, or I give them like a paper
Mhm.
actually, um, of just things they have to do. Like when you close a barbershop, sweep, and then after do this, do that, do that. So that the whole systems thing. At first, it sounds a little like anal a little bit, but once you keep going with it,
Mhm.
you realize how easy everything is, and it's like you don't have to micromanage everything. It's just like, bro, just look at the manual, or just look at the thing I sent you. You
Right.
know,
Mm.
do this, do this, do this, do this. That's it.
And then you're giving people freedom. They think they have freedom, right? And then they look at you like, man, that guy's a leader. Look, he ain't even telling me what to do. He's not giving me any grief, right? And it's because you have all of the processes in place that they can't screw up.
Yeah,
So then all you got to do is, teach them a few times, then you watch them a few times, and then
have them teach them
it's on
to
your own,
somebody
man.
else.
Then yeah, go teach yourself, right?
Yeah,
Train the trainer.
yeah. So that that in itself was very influential to like my whole business, but specifically with your real estate business, already kind of get into it a little bit. do a little bit of background about that. What was the name of it? The whole system that you created?
Yeah, so I've got Aim High Properties. Aim
Aim
High
High, yeah.
Properties is the holding company for 8 subordinate companies. We own everything from a property management company. We own several portfolios. We own a marketing company, and we own a hair salon.
Yeah. Everything under that whole what was it? What was it called again?
Aim High.
Yeah, Aim High, but what
Yeah.
was that called? I remember I have in my notebook. I have all of this.
Oh, Evans Consulting? You talking about?
No. Like Aim High is all these 8 companies are under Aim High.
Mhm.
But what is Aim High called? If you put it under, I forgot what it's called.
Oh, we have Aim High under a
holding.
trust.
Yeah, like a trust.
So we
There
have
you go.
so we have a irrevocable trust
Mm-hmm.
which owns Aim High Properties, and then Aim High Properties owns all the subordinate companies, so that there's multiple levels of protection for my company,
So that nothing hits you.
so nothing hits me
So
personally.
It's
so
like
for the
trust.
yeah, so for the people that don't know, what is a trust? So we understand what an LLC is, understand what an S corp is.
Yep.
I did some research. I know if you don't make over $100,000 a year, you're LLC, but if you make over $100,000 a year, you're S corp. So I only know two of those things. But for trust, how did you distinguish? I need to put my company under a trust and then create all these other companies so I'm protected in all these levels. How did you find out about that, and what made you want to do that?
Yeah, so great question. And at the risk of sounding like ignorant, I got people for that, right? So, and
Yeah.
I know it sounds kind of, like, but you gotta, it's the who not how mentality. If you're familiar
Yeah.
with that book, right? It's a book called Who Not How.
Hmm.
Dan Sullivan, I think it is. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. But um, find the people who know exactly what they're doing in that particular. That's not my field. I have a degree in accounting,
Hmm.
but I am not an accountant.
Hmm.
I am not a lawyer, so that would be estates. My daughter-in-law will be, right. She's going through estates and
Yeah.
trusts and all that kind of stuff. So that's what going to be her area of expertise. But until that happens, I have I have guardian law, and they help me out. I have Prime Corporate Services, which tells me, okay, dude, it's time to open up another LLC.
Hmm.
I have Chris McCormick as my CPA, and he makes sure that all the books are good to go. And I'm doing the books right now. I had somebody, but I had to let them go. Um, People that we just, I know we
Yeah.
talked about this offline, but like at a certain point when you're like, all right, you gotta, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, you find the right people, you put them in the right seats, and then let them succeed. So I have those people that established this for me and put me in and guided me in a certain direction. Like you can have a revocable trust, you can have an irrevocable trust,
Hmm.
but in this case, with our level of assets, this is the system and the situation that works out best.
What was the turning point for you that made you get into it?
Oh man. So when I was the mayor, I got into economic development. I got into budgeting, planning, zoning. I liked it. I really thought it was cool. I wanted to get into real estate with my brother a long time ago, and we just never did it. He flipped one house in like Kensington, and that was it. And we just never acted on it. When I got on committee and I met this guy Al, who became a committee person with me, dude was not working, and he had like 6 properties, man. He was making like 10,000 a month doing nothing, just like
Chilling.
just yeah, right, spending time with his kids and whatnot. Um, right.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, I could do a little bit of, I could do that,
Mhm.
So I tried to get him to mentor me, but he was just too busy.
Mhm.
And then I'm sitting there and I was working as the senior intelligence officer for this unit over in PA. 2 o'clock in the morning, watching a TV that's not supposed to be on a channel it's not supposed to be on. And I look up and there's this infomercial on for fortune builders. So it's like text your number to, all right, cool. So
Yeah.
I text that word. You can't carry paper in and out of this because it's top secret. So
Yeah.
I just wrote it on my hand and I walked outside. I turned on my cell phone, made the text message, bing. Next thing I know, I'm in this 2-hour conference. I took my son with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. And I was like, whatever happens, I grabbed him. I'm like, dude, whatever happens, don't let me buy shit. Right. 1 hour in, he leans over and he returns a favor. He's like, yo, you're buying this thing, right? And I'm like, oh man. I walked out of there with the 3-day course purchased. I walked out of there with a DVD on how to buy tax liens and, title and short sales and all that stuff. And the next thing I know, man, I'm going through this 3-day class and then I bought in and my mentorship was 50 grand
Oh,
to
snap.
start. By the time I got done, it was $88,000 out.
Mm.
I put it on 4 different credit cards and maxed those suckers out. So when it came down to buy my first flip, it was a good thing and a bad thing that I had maxed out my credit cards because
A lot of credit.
no, man, dude, my credit score went like down.
So how was you able to purchase? I'll let you get into
Yeah,
that.
great question because that's exactly where I want to go, right? So I had to get creative, and I was able to get the property. I got it under contract. I reached out to a buddy of mine from the military. I borrowed 20,000 from him. I borrowed 11,000 from my nephew, and I wrote a $10,000 balance transfer check for the last $10,000 I had available on one of my credit
So
cards.
you did a honeypot.
I don't know exactly what that is, but it sounds like it's right. What's a honeypot?
So a honeypot is essentially where multiple people put money into one pot
Okay.
to buy a property.
Okay.
Yeah, the honeypot.
Sure. All right. Yeah, that works. Never exactly heard it called that, but yeah, we call them private money lenders or PMLs.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. Figured it out, got creative, and made it work.
Oh,
How long did it take for you to pay them all back?
6 months. 6 months. We paid them all back. Paid off the credit cards, the majority of the credit cards, and then now here's the thing. I had a coach, so listening to my coach was because I see it today because I coach now myself. I mentor people myself. Here's what happens. They go and they do everything that I tell them to do, and then they find their first deal. And then they go like this. I got my deal. Stop looking. And my coach told me, whatever you do, you got your first deal. Don't stop looking. I said, okay, great. So that was January of 2019. I got into my first flip. We started the process. By the end of January, I had 2 rental properties under my belt already in progress. And I did it. I bought one on Facebook and I bought one on Craigslist. Right. And it was because I didn't stop looking. So, and it's the same thing in business, man. You strike gold here. Okay, great. So focus a lot of your attention here, but don't stop looking at other stuff. Don't get shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's like, ooh, shiny, let me do this. Ooh, shiny, let me do that. Because then you're going to wind up making decisions. But yeah, in my case, it just turned out that, and the funny thing about that was I didn't even think about rental.
Really?
I was going to be a house flipper like they did on TV, man. I wanted to be Chip and Joanna Gaines, right? All by myself.
Houses.
And do that and flip those houses and make a lot of money. And now here I am later on. I'm like, I own a bunch of rental properties.
Why did you switch over from flipping to doing rental properties?
I found out what the secret is, man. You got his book right there.
Oh my goodness, Trump, man.
You show me a billionaire flipper.
There isn't one.
I work with a guy named Tariq Al Musa from HGTV, and the dude's worth about $65 million right now. And he's got 3 television shows. Third one's coming up this next season with his ex-wife and his current wife, and it's called The Flip Off. Right? Because ex-wife, current wife, right? So they're playing on that. But the thing is this: where do you think he made all his money?
In that business that he created.
He took that flipping business, and bought rental properties. And now that he's got enough rental properties, he's buying bigger rental properties. And he's doing syndication deals, and he's created a fund, and he took that initial flipping empire that he built, and he created this business where now it's constantly rotating. But if he stops flipping, what happens to the money?
Stops.
It stops. The day he stops flipping, the funds shut off. If you buy rental properties and you stop buying rental properties, you're still making money on the ones you got. Right? It's that simple. That's why I got into rentals.
Yeah. Grant Cardone is what really got me to think about that too. His whole thing has his network is now over $1 billion now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Brandon Turner, same thing, man. Brandon Turner's another guy, bigger pockets, made all his money in rentals. He RV parks, mobile home parks. He owns the land, and then people pay him to put their buildings on it.
McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
So I have a question. So for all the viewers here that are in their 20s, early 20s, what are like some huge advice would you give that most people out there, when going through YouTube and going through all that stuff, won't really tell you?
Take 20% of your income and immediately invest it. Period. I don't care what you got to do. Put everything else aside. Pay yourself first.
So that, in a sense, even if you make like $200, $300 a week,
Yep.
what is that? What do you recommend for people like that?
Put that money away, man. Put it away. Put it into you. And I know it's a bad word because of what happened with GameStop, but use Robinhood, use Acorns, use whatever you have to do to put money aside so that you can invest that money.
Mm.
Right. Even if you have it automatically coming out, like Acorns is a great start. You can just get stocks through Acorns or Robinhood. I'm not sponsored by any of those, so I'm just putting that out there right now. Bottom line is you do whatever you have to do in order to set money aside so that later on you can make an educated decision and make a purchase, something that you really want to get good return.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 6-8%. You're going to get taxed. Another reason I like real estate, I don't pay. Right.
Let's get into that. Taxes. I love that.
It is a hedge against inflation,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a hedge against taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keeping in mind, I am employing a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and those people are paying taxes.
Yeah.
I am paying their wage tax, right? Whether it's FICA or Social Security or whatever, and I'm matching that and I'm paying those. So, I'll again quote him: I pay more taxes than most people should ever have to pay, so that I don't have to pay taxes when it comes due in an extension just about every year. But my adjusted gross income is negative.
Yeah.
On
every year.
paper. On paper.
On paper.
On paper.
I had to get a question in, guys. So you said you're a police officer. How many years were you?
13.
13?
Yeah.
And you started this after?
No, I went active duty and I came out and I opened a restaurant and I failed miserably. Then I had nothing else to do. I lost a bunch of money, so I became a cop.
And then you were a mayor.
And I was in the Guard for that period of time until the towers fell. And then
National
I went back
Guard?
into the military.
You've been in a lot. And then you were the mayor of Cinnaminson.
Yeah.
That stuck out to me. How did you get there?
We moved from Limerick, Pennsylvania to Cinnaminson, New Jersey. And I just got involved, man. Went in Parks and Rec committee and started going to like political organizers and all that kind of stuff. And I started going to the weekly meetings or monthly meetings for committee. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this better than they can. So I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I ran and I won.
First time?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's all I
Thanks,
had.
man.
Thank you. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah. Nice meeting you too.
So, from being the mayor, what was the connections like? How was the network? Meaning, you became the mayor, you had access to way more things that you had before being the National Guard and all that. So, how did you identify as a leader? Hey, I have these people that can do different things. How I put these people in the right places? Because we're young, we're just ambitious, trying to do things on our own.
Yeah.
So, how did you identify? Okay, I'm a leader now, and how to put these people in the right places?
I was a leader before I was the mayor.
Okay.
And let me just say this right. It is a lot. It sounds a lot sexier than it is. Being the mayor sucks, man. It does, right? You are working like 40 hours a week and you are getting paid $300 a month. So you better love doing what you're doing and serving other people if you are going to get into a small political arena.
Okay.
And honestly, local politics, if you're going to get involved, local politics is the place to be. When you get into the bigger stage, it's all about hands in your pockets and
Yeah.
getting paid and all that crap. You make the difference here,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want to benefit Mount Laurel, you run and you occupy and you get involved in Mount Laurel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to make your community better. And that's exactly why I did it. And that's exactly why I wound up where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Then, for whatever reason, the military made me resign a year and a half later. And they were like, oh, you can't do that anymore because you're doing this now. So that's what I did. I did everything I needed to do in a year and a half. And I was like, all right, peace, I'm out. I left.
Nice.
But no, being the mayor didn't have anything to do with me being a leader. Being the military officer, being the master sergeant first, and then going in and becoming a military officer, that's what really kind of made the difference as far as my leadership.
Because even I tried to run for Riverside mayor for a little bit, but I didn't live in Riverside. I don't live in Riverside. I tried to put how is that? If I wanted to put my business, a little sidetrack.
Mhm.
If I wanted to put my business address as his address where I live, that's not
kosher, man. I don't think it's gonna work. You gotta live there.
Yeah. Anyways, going back to the real estate, what books do you recommend for someone that's getting into real estate?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm gonna throw out a real quick shout out to Jen Josie, who just wrote a book. It just came out. It's called Beginner to Badassery. It's not a like real estate investing book, so to speak. But it is like these are all the things that she did wrong and exactly when you're first starting out, like how you go from beginner to badass in real
Mhm.
estate. Um, the other one that and it's like the world famous Purple Bible, right? The Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah, we read
You
that. We
got, I
read
mean,
that. Yeah,
you have to, right?
yeah.
If,
Financial literacy.
Assets and liabilities. Basically, what the book is
yep,
talking about.
yeah, the quadrant, cash
Yeah,
flow quadrant is
yeah,
the next one. Dude, if you are, I read that book at 49 and realized I was the mayor of a town, dude. I was working on budgets, economic development. We were putting together city plans. We built a storage facility and pad sites and brought in
yeah,
an over 55 community. I did not know shit about money.
yeah.
I thought I did, but I didn't know anything about money. I read that book and I was like,
It's like a dictionary.
oh
a
my
financial
goodness,
literacy
man.
dictionary.
It brought it down to the lowest possible level of understanding and just kind of went, man, I'm doing it wrong. Because I'm sitting here looking at the time, I was looking at, all right, I'm going to eventually make lieutenant colonel and I'm going to retire and I have like $500,000 in the bank. And I was like, that's not going to be enough, man.
Mhm.
It's not going to be enough, you know? And now here I am 5 years later with 10 in the bank. Like just, I got $10 million in assets, right?
Oof.
That pay me monthly
Oof.
because I read that book
Mhm.
and within 3 years was able to go, yeah, lieutenant colonel is not, I made more on a Monday in, in when I was 51 years old, 2021, I made more on a Monday than I would make that entire year as an Air Force major, including all of my benefits.
Oh snap!
Mm.
That's ridiculous.
And that's when I went, yeah, I can't do this.
That's ridiculous.
That's, you want to talk about a game changer? Read that book. Read that book.
Yeah, it's for that book. For a lot of people, it was an eye opener. Even for me, like when I read it during the pandemic, it was like, especially everybody, like the young people in the younger 20s, including myself. Like I want to invest. I want to do this. I want to do all this stuff and become rich. And it's like I didn't even know how money worked for them.
Yeah.
Um, that that book really got me. But I don't know if you recommend this book too. But a mentality book would be like Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
10X book.
Yeah.
That got me.
His story
crazy.
is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a heroin addict, man.
Yeah.
You know?
He was heroin super crazy. And then started grinding for him.
Yeah. Right.
I used this thing, you know how you said earlier, put 20% away?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was really into him. I was making around like $400, $500 a week. He said what he did for the first 10 years, no vacation, no nothing, over 80-hour weeks. He said he put 44% of his income.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing was like, if I didn't make enough money to pay my bills or to do what I wanted, I made more money simply. It wasn't just like, okay, boom, I'll get another job and get another job. But the number he said that would be like uncomfortable for him, but fast enough for him to build up enough money quickly would be 44%.
Yep.
So that's exactly what I did.
Nice.
44% of everything. And then out of high school, I was able to buy my dad out and start investing.
Dude, I got an acquaintance of mine. He's Asian, and he basically told me that he puts 50% of his income away, and his parents, because he's a first generation American, his parents looking at him like he's spending money.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're blowing money.
Yeah.
Because he's living on 50% instead of like living on 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're living on 10%. They're the kind of folks that like they'll walk into a casino and with a bag of cash as entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Or like my wife's shopping center just went up for sale and I was about to put in an offer and they went, don't even bother. We already got it.
Mm-hmm.
There was an Asian group who came in with cash. Most people say, cash, they're talking about hard money, they're talking about a loan,
Stand
whatever.
up and
No, these guys
end
were
recording.
walking in with cash.
Bag.
They were going to write them,
Mm-hmm.
like it was going to, like they were going to walk in, they could have walked in with bags of cash. Instead, they got a cashier's check,
Pillowcase. You know, the traditional like pillowcase, like,
Right.
no.
Right.
Hang on. I'm gonna end the recording and go back.
That's how it was too when I was because I'm first generation immigrant. Just that's how, not immigrant, but first generation.
Yeah.
So that's how it was for me. Like when I did everything, I remember I didn't fit it
This
in my
re-recorded it.
little safe
Mhm.
anymore,
We
so I
re-recorded
just
so
stacked it up
30
in
more
little
minutes.
things. Like my air conditioner had like a super thing. I just kind of stacked it up.
Yep.
And then like I would hide it in like literally a trash bag.
Yeah.
A white trash bag. Literally looked like I was a drug dealer at the time. 'Cause my parents, that was the whole thing. Like they don't. It was easier just to put it away.
I got 2 more books. The Millionaire Next Door.
Yes.
Definitely read that one.
Never read that one before.
Yeah, and it's like you. Here's a funny thing. I I I have a partner in a couple of my companies, and the dude, you look at him and you'd be like, he's the guy that I was telling you guys earlier that put money away into
Mm-hmm.
into a dividend bearing
Yeah.
stock, and now he's got $3 million in that
Yeah.
one stock. Like if he opens up his Charles Schwab account, he will show you that he's got $1 million in cash. Right, like that's right. He wears like beat up Levi's,
Mm-hmm.
running shoes, old baseball hat, and concert T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
It's crazy.
dude's worth bank. Now he's partners with me, so he's got $5 million in that company, and he's got another almost $7 million in net worth
Mhm.
from his own. So be like that, like it's you see these guys on TV, these gurus who are driving Bugattis and Rolls, and they have a $250,000 watch and all that crap. Beware of them. You know what I mean? Because when it comes down to it, man, why are they selling a course? Is it because they're successful in what they're doing,
Or they want to make more money.
or they want to make more money
Money off
because
the
they
field.
need to,
Yeah.
right? Versus I teach people because I like to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I drive a used Volkswagen Atlas. Live in a townhouse. We take vacations and we like to go to nice restaurants. That's it. I belong to a pretty decent club that has a couple of different golf courses but it's like I'm not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year trading in a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. In my opinion, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like unless you have the money to pay for it, even Akon used to say this financial advice from Akon: if you can't buy it 2 times, don't buy it.
Yeah.
So that's especially with cars. Even like with um this is a segue to like the real estate thing. Building your credit, is
Yeah.
a good way to do that, especially for young people.
Yep.
Do you recommend people buying cars? Because a lot of people talk to me about that. I'm gonna lease a car so I can build up my credit.
Nope.
Nope. What are ways to build your credit then other than leasing?
Okay, so here's all right. Austin Zealand is an acquaintance of mine, and he and I had a real nice conversation. Austin buys 2 to 3 year old Lamborghinis, okay, with intent. He rents them out.
That's what Rick Ross does.
Right.
Luxury rentals.
Then he took those exotic cars, and then he said, I can do this with exotic cars. What if I bought a Learjet? Went out and he bought himself a G4 or G3,
Mhm.
small one, and he got 10 people to go in on it, and now they rent it. Right. So he bought it with their money, and he gets to use it like 20% of the time, and then he did it 3 more times.
Mm.
So now he's got 4 airplanes, he's got a bunch of exotic cars. I'm looking at doing the same thing with RVs, right? And then that Volkswagen is probably going to be on Toro coming up here real shortly. You know what I mean? But like, if you're again going back to the Kiyosaki model, he wanted to buy a Porsche that it was his dream car.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim, his wife, told him, "Great, go out and buy a property to pay for it." He did. You want to buy lavish things? Make sure that you have the funds coming in specifically dedicated. Have assets that pay for that. You know, um, that would be my advice. And then one more book. It's called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. Definitely read that one because when you go to scale, and Gino Wickman is another one. Traction is the one that everybody points to. I say read Get a Grip first because I'm more of a visual learner. So when somebody gives me examples of how to do something,
Yeah.
I learn a little bit better that way. But there's a book called Get a Grip by Gino Wickman, and that is specifically geared towards the EOS model. It's the entrepreneurial operating system we talked about
Yes.
multiple times, and the 4 aspects of each company, regardless of how big it is and all that. The books.
So I have a question because we were talking about real estate, and once you get the property, I've tried to figure out because I'm trying to read or whatever. How do you find people to rent it out to after you gain it or in the process of getting that property? How do you say, hey, I have this property now. I need people to get it. How do I get those people?
Today, it is
Who knows?
so simple.
Really?
It really is, yeah. Right. You can do it that way, or you can just get a program to do it for you. Right. So here's what I did. So I had a problem with my property management company out in Pittsburgh. We got 30 doors out in Pittsburgh. We had a big problem where we had a new guy that got brought into the property management company. He decided to raise rents by 15% across the board indiscriminately without asking me, and I lost 6 of my tenants.
Oh,
At
snap.
once. Right. All right. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's number one. But you can go in and use something like, and I constantly talk about this program. I get nothing from this. It's called stessa.com. It's assets spelled backwards, which is if you're going to self manage, great way to start with your first couple of rental properties. You use that. You can ACH payment rents. It'll post your vacancies to Zillow or Trulia
Really?
or, yeah, right? You can use homes.com, which used to be apartments.com, which used to be cozy.co.
Yeah.
That's what I used to use when I first started out. Then I moved over to Stessa when it got bought by apartments.com. Or when you get a little bit bigger, like I did, and you can start bringing in, like you get 40, 50 doors, you can start a property management company and start
Okay.
bringing other people in and using, actual software. Like we went from Buildium, we had a problem with them. Their customer service wasn't good. So we moved over to Door Loop, and we're trying to get to 50 doors as rapidly as possible so that we can move over to something called Appfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have processes within them so that you can reach out and post these things to the internet. And then I have a leasing agent that works with me,
Mm.
Kelly, and she will show the properties and she gets paid $500 every time she places a tenant.
Oh, snap. Dang, you made that simple. I was wrapping my head around that. I said, if I buy this property, if I do a loan, let's say for 20%, no, I put down 20%. I have this rental property. How am I gonna figure out how to get these people in? Because I have it, and I have to pay off number one. I have to pay off the bank, and I gotta pay the maintenance fees for all the house. I can't do it on my own. So how do I get that? How do I get people in? And I was wrapping my head around it. You just made that so simple.
Okay, let me simplify it even more.
Yeah.
What if I told you, you buy the house, you put no money out of your own pocket? You buy the house that's distressed, you have someone else repair it for you. Every time they finish a section of the repairs, they get paid, but you're not paying it. There's somebody else that's paying it for you. When you're done, you refinance it. You take the money that you get from the bank and you pay the people that lent you the money back, purchase the house. And then you hire someone to put people in the property for you, and then they manage it.
Oh snap! Explain that a little bit more.
You
Whoa,
go
what is
around
that?
doing
Whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah. Because I
it may
just
seem
peeped
like,
it.
oh yeah, easy. But
That's
Yeah.
where I make my money. So here's
Okay.
the thing. It's the BRRRR strategy. I
Okay.
don't know if you've
BRRRR,
heard of
yeah.
it before, but it's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Buy the property,
Mm-hmm.
you rehab it,
Mm-hmm.
you force appreciation on the property. So now it's worth more than what you
And
bought it
that's when you
for,
refinance it.
right? Then you rent it out first because you have
Okay.
to show that you're making income.
Okay.
Now, your personal credit doesn't get touched because we have these things called debt service. I don't want to go too deep into this. You have debt service coverage ratios, which means
Mm-hmm.
that your rent covers your mortgage by a certain amount. Okay. So once your
Oh.
rent comes in and it's covering your mortgage, now the property is the asset that they're going to judge based, and that's where you're going to get your loan. They don't go after your credit. They go after, now they're going to look at your credit and say,
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, great. Now, okay, terrific. You got a 640 or better, 620 or better. So your interest rate is going to be this. You're a 720 or better. Now your interest rate is going to be lower. You're an 800 or better. Your
Mm-hmm.
interest rate is going to be even lower. But what we really care about is that your rents are covering your mortgage by 1.3, ratio of like 30%, 30% above. So 1.3 times your rent, times your mortgage.
That makes sense.
So that's once
Yeah.
they find that, that's when you can refinance it.
My dad's fun. But continue.
So yeah, and once you pass that debt service coverage ratio,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you can refinance it,
Mm-hmm.
pull that money back out. Now we're using a combination of hard money and private money
Yeah.
right? Now let's talk about hard money for a second. When I say hard money, I'm talking about not a bank.
Okay.
Okay. Because when you go to a bank, I'm just simplifying this at the lowest possible level. When you go to a bank, they're going to want to know the name of your firstborn, plus your left arm and your right kneecap. And then, oh, by the way, now we're going to go up your butt with a fine tooth comb and we're going to look for what you ate in the second grade.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's that ridiculously in depth.
Mm-hmm.
And it can take you 60 days to close. I'm going through this right now with one of my flips, which I promise you I will never be doing another flip as long as I live because this has been the third nightmare in a row. Now we'll still make some money off it. It's not the point. It's so disturbing how hard it is. These guys have been working with this bank now. They made their offer a month and a half ago, and they still haven't gone to closing yet
Wait, why?
because the bank keeps giving them, oh, now we need this. Oh yeah, we know that we asked you for that a month and a half ago, but it's only 30 days and it's been 45, so now that's expired. We need these paperwork again.
Don't you have a contract with the bank to to verify so that doesn't happen?
They have a pre-approval, not a there's another level above pre-approval, which is pre-confirmed. God, I forget what it's called, but I actually don't have a mortgage on my own house. I have a home.
I've heard of that before. Yeah.
Right. So no mortgage, just a HELOC. And I paid it off twice, 700, 3 times. But yeah, so that's a problem. Going to the banks is a problem. So when we say hard money, you're using that, plus you're going to take a combination of using someone else. Bottom line is you use OPM, other people's money,
Mm.
to buy your property. Okay. There are a lot of gurus that will tell you, find the deal and the money will come. I will tell you, find the money, find the deals later. You know what I mean? The deals will be there. You just got to have the cash. And the more people that you talk to, the easier it is to find the deals.
Networking event soon.
Right? Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah. I'm going to be talking next Thursday with Roland Jefferson. He's a wholesaler in the area. And I'll be talking at an event.
I don't mean to intrude, but would it be possible for us to come to the event?
I can definitely find that out. I believe it. I'm not sure if it's his personal event. It might be the South Jersey Real Estate Investors Association.
Hey, if y'all listen,
Put up-
20 million. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, it's a lot of information to take, especially for a lot of people that think of real estate, just think of houses. Just there's so many things you can rent out. It's not even just houses, which is ridiculous. So I didn't even know.
And this is just one thing. This is just one aspect of real estate. There are so many different ways that you can. I know a guy who buys land, sits on it.
Really?
That's all he does. He just buys bare land, sits on it, holds it. It's called land banking, and land appreciates well beyond what
Real estate?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
But it's more
he just
expensive,
will
right?
buy lots and just sit on it because the taxes, because there's nothing on it. The taxes are really low, and he'll just he owns it outright. So all he's got to do is pay his taxes every year. There's no utilities to worry about, and he just sits on it, and it usually appreciates at about 10-12% per year.
Oh my Christmas nuts! What?
Right? Now you've got to do your work. You got to do your work, and you've got to make sure that you're buying in the right areas.
Oh yeah,
You know,
12%, bro.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
math
crazy.
guy. 12% interest a year, bro.
That's crazy.
dude, I have a house that I bought 5 years ago for $72,000. It's now 237. The rent went from $1,150 a month to $1,750 a month, and
Oh my goodness.
a month I was cash flowing $500 back then. Now taxes and insurance go up, but it's still got to be competitive with market rent. I'm only raising rents 5%, maybe 10 tops. Tops. I really don't even like to raise it 10%. I like to stick around that 5 to 7% number because it keeps tenants in there for a long period of time.
Not even 15%. Screw that guy. 15%.
That guy killed me, man. Because I am like $50 to $100, no more than 7%. I just raised. We got properties in Trenton, and the one thing that we just did, we're Section 8 down there, because I fully believe in giving back and trying to get somebody a hand up. So I specifically look for people who are working their way through college or something like that. Single moms who are looking for a house. And we'll put them into a property and help them get ahead while they're going through college or whatever it is. And I give them a lot of leeway. Good.
You were
Sorry, am I quiet?
good.
Right.
You have to get to the mic a little bit more, but you good, yeah.
Yeah, but we just raised the rents 7% on that property, and we're going from $1,600 to $1,750 a month on that property. But Section 8 has just come back and they said, yeah, we're going to pick it all up. You're good. Cool. Thanks, man.
Oh,
And that shows up in my mailbox. It showed up on Saturday. For the first. Shows up before the first every month, each month.
Just
You know, it's
fun.
good stuff, man.
On the process.
You get to
That's
give back
crazy.
and make some cash. Yeah.
All right. Before we started the video, you told me 5 habits and were really good. Go back over them.
Yeah, man, not a problem. These are the 5 things that my 5 F's, I call them. They're like my core values, and it's faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. Right. And think of it, and I would say like there are really kind of 4 legs on the stool,
Mm.
with fun being the reserve, right? That's the one at the back end. If you lose any one of those, everything else falls apart,
Mm.
right? Whether it's
Even the fun part?
even the fun part, man. Because you
Of
can't,
course.
you're gonna overwork yourself. You're gonna burn out. I did that my first 2 years. I had my first company. It was actually my first. I started one, then I started another one, then I started another one in quick succession, and it was like I worked so hard and didn't scale fast enough that I did not have time to have fun. Dude, I burned out so quick, man. I was like, I can't. I just like, found myself like just sitting there like shaking one day, going, I can't do this anymore, man. You know. So I wound up like having layoffs and slowing down a little bit because in my first 2 years I did 30 flips, 21 rental properties, and 10 wholesales in 2 years. Dude, that's not
That's ridiculous.
normal. That's not normal, right? Most people get like 3,
Mhm.
5, maybe, I did 30, man. I did 30, 10 first year, 20 the second year. And it was insane. It was absolutely insane trying to juggle all that stuff. And I didn't have a partner. I just had me.
Mm.
Do you recommend partners?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Here's my answer. Honestly, I have a few partners in a couple of different businesses. I do not give up controlling interest ever. Ever. I have 2 partners in the property management company. It's actually one company, but they're partners. They have a 40% stake. I have a 60% stake, and I'm the managing director of the company. So they can come back and go, hey, we recommend this. And I'll be like, cool, thanks for the input.
Stupid.
No,
I
no, not
know.
at all. Because the bottom line is they're going to make money,
Mhm.
right? They're going to make money. If it doesn't fit in and this is where the EOS model comes in, does it fit within or not fit within our core values? And if it fits within the core values and it's going to make us money, we're in.
Mhm.
If it doesn't fit the core values, even if it does make us money, we ain't doing it.
Mm.
Right. And if it makes us money and, or fits the core values and doesn't make us money, obviously that would be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. Cool. Go back and see what I said about a Bugatti. Yeah, it's fun, but it's not worth it, Um, but and then I've got the other partner in Code 3 Properties and AAA Second Street, two companies that we have in both New Jersey and Pittsburgh. And dude, trying to get him on the phone is tough. He's such a silent partner. Like it's like, hey, dude, hey, his name is Z. He's the guy I was telling you about the baseball cap, and right? Hey Z, what are you doing, man? Maybe 3 hours later, I'm sorry, man. I was drinking tequila and playing my pinball machine. Right. Which is great. It's good for you, buddy. But like when I tell you the bank is calling asking for a number, like I need the number.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, man, partners aren't bad. It just really depends on your operating agreement and how you're set up.
So never give up controlling interest.
Think of it this way. It's a marriage. Don't go into it without a prenup. I know that flies in the face of number 2, right? Family. Because my wife and I built all this stuff. We got together. We were 21 years old, man. I met her when I was 17.
Mm.
We've been together ever since. But an operating agreement is like a prenuptial.
Do you have a prenup?
No. The reason is I didn't have squat, and neither did she. There was no reason for a prenup.
Yeah.
right? Dude, it was until like the last 5 years, the two of us were Leafs on the win, man, doing the so-called American dream. Work until you're able to retire, be in debt up to here, realize it's not enough money. So you retire, you're collecting your pensions, you got to go out and get another job to make ends meet anyway. That's trash, man. Don't do that. You know, there's one thing you take away from this. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. Do that 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your operating expenses, 30% are what you're kind of living on and having a, good time with. 20% goes into the bank every time. Find an investment that pays you and then take that money and, in my opinion, invest in real estate. And then the next thing you know, that 50-30 is not 50-30 anymore. It's it's like 20-10 or 27.5, because you're still living the same way, but now you've got all this extra income coming in from these assets that you've been purchasing over the years that, something happens. My buddy Bruce, he was like, yo, man, I got hit for a $500,000 tax bill. I'm like, right? Right?
Oh.
You went, I went like this, dude,
Lucky.
right? I'm like, what did you do that you got hit with a $500,000 tax bill? He sold a bunch of properties and paid off the others.
Mm.
Right? So now he's got all of his properties are completely paid off. He has no mortgages on any of his properties. And he's got he had $1 million in cash in his TD Ameritrade account.
That was nothing to him. Oh.
That was
Yeah, that's what
after
Sam
the
paid.
$500,000 bill got paid.
Sam paid like $400,000 in taxes. Like I literally he was driving. He's like, "You only paid $400,000." He was like, "But thank God." I was like, "Thank God." Like $400,000. That's like more than everything I owe. He's like, "Nah, but yeah, like it was really cheap." I was like,
The audio?
"Yeah, there's another guy that we know is really, he's balling."
Dude, we made a substantially large amount of money. And the federal government wrote me a $20,000 check. The state of New Jersey went, yeah, I want 12. Because it's Jersey, man.
Yeah,
You can't get around Jersey.
but yeah, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
For-
Thank you
for
so
this.
much.
This is like, I was really good idea even thinking about it because me and Zay were talking about like real estate people and bringing more people in like that, and like you were one of the first people that I thought of. So
Thanks,
thank
man. I
you for the
appreciate
time.
it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because
It's an absolute pleasure being here, guys.
Thank you very much.
it's like
Oh my goodness, I've learned so much. The internet can learn, but it's better when you can just ask questions and get the same response right back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so personable, and I hope the viewers got that as well. I hope me, Jay, and Johnny asked questions that y'all were really harping upon and wanted because this was ridiculous.
I have to bring in for part 2, yo, 100%, and then bring some of your real estate buddies too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They
I'm
know
in.
that would help us out.
Yeah, and we're gonna have another networking event. And we would really want you to come because you have gems, bro, gems, and there's still more to come because there's only a short amount of time.
I've done some crazy stuff. My life has been just weird. It's been awesome.
Hey, that's a blessing in disguise.
Oh, yeah.
Give her a shout out before you leave.
Yeah.
Like your Instagram and everything.
Yeah, man. So it's at bud.evans on Instagram. It's at Bud Evans Real Estate on YouTube. You can check me out on Facebook too if you're on it. And then budevans.com if you're interested in just having a quick conversation. There's a 15-minute introduction call or a 30-minute strategy session if you're looking to get into real estate.
Yeah. Mentorship really helped me with my business per se, not even specifically with real estate, but is a fountain of knowledge when it comes to anything money and business related. So,
and let me just say, man, I am not a sales pitchy guy. You know that,
yeah,
right? Like, I think I tried to talk you out of it. I was like, hey, man, look, I can help you, but just so you know, like, I don't do this, right? So I'm not the guy who's going to be sitting there going, all right, it's $20,000 and you're going to do this, and then I don't care if you make it or not. Like, it's with us, it's like you're going to join my mentorship program. You're going to get I call it a boot camp for a reason. The whole program is called Enlisted to Entrepreneur because when you are joining my group, you are enlisting. It is tough love. You'll get tough love. Like, if you're not doing what I tell you to do, because the goal is this: like, you join my group, we're not done until you get your first rental property. Like, I'm like, and I tell people, like, you got a 6 month tour, and at the end of 6 months, you're gonna have your first rental property. Oh, I'm gonna whoop you into shape, and you're gonna get your first rental property. I don't care if it takes me a year. I don't care if it takes me a year and a half. You're gonna be showing up. You're gonna, or I'm calling you. I'm coming to your house. Like, we're gonna have conversations. We're gonna have tough conversations. Um, so I'm not one of these like frilly gurus who does like we do our meetups on Thursday nights. We also have one on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are accountability. Thursday nights are the actual boot camp. And it is like, I have this saying, say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean, but you better have some thick skin, because we're going to call you out. It's not just me. It's the tribe. We all do it.
That's
Because we all go
love.
through it. But there's a reason I have a guy, and I love him, right? I have a couple who's down in Atlanta right now who just bought 55 units in Florida, and they're finishing off with their four. They just built 4 single family homes on land that they bought down there. They're too busy to come to it anymore. And I'm like, you know what? God bless you, man. You're gonna come, great. Ollie, who just got his, I'm hoping that this 14 unit deal falls into place for him, because he was looking at a 208. It didn't come through, so we went to 14s. We got, David Reed, who got his first rental property, and, we call him Spicy Rice. He bought it off a guy we call Spicy Rice.
Yeah.
It's just like, I want people to be successful,
Yeah, that's why we brought you here. So not only us, but everyone else here can be successful. Do you guys have anything else to say? I'm just, this is crazy. I'm just processing everything.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
For real.
buddy.
Yeah.
This legacy room, I'm bringing legacies around here, man. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, guys.
Thank
Absolute
you. Thank
pleasure.
you. Well, we out.